our goal really today is to have a very small discussion regarding what's changing in retail. And I just want this to be a conversation so our customers who see this video can take away certain points, some good takeaways that you're seeing in the data. So I'll start with some of the thoughts that the questions I have, and then we'll go through Jenna, Regan, Anupam, and then we'll go around whoever wishes to speak. The questions that I have is, what are the best practices that we are seeing in the data these days for retail stores and organizations like those? What does the new norm look like? That's one of the questions I'd really would like to know. How is retail known going towards e-retail? What changes that you think that the consumers would probably want to see in their interactions with the stores? If you're seeing any stores that are doing really good, like certain brands that are really doing well, I'd love for you to talk about it. And any personal stories. I'll bring up my story on how I've shifted my experience with pharmacy, but I'll go from there. So I'll stop now and I'll let Jenna, you take the lead and tell me what you're seeing in the data as it relates to pre-COVID, post-COVID, and retail shopping behaviors.
Sure. Well, before COVID, I think that everyone was pretty passionate about moving toward online retailers, making sure that they have quick delivery and making sure that 2-day delivery window is being honored, especially by retailers like Amazon. Walmart's moving toward 2-day delivery, Target as well. So that was very important pre-COVID. I've seen various metrics on how many individuals are using those delivery services, and it's continuing to rise. With COVID, that has become even more important. Consumers do not want to sacrifice on their shipping. One thing that we've seen in the data across brands, across retailers, is that there's a lot of patience for retailers that consumers are passionate about and that they have existing loyalty for. They'll say things, they'll reach out to the retailer specifically. We see a lot of brand interaction. They want a direct relationship, adding them on Twitter, on Instagram, so that they can hopefully get a response from the retailer and saying things like, good job, you've been doing well, until a certain point. So they're happy, they're satisfied, and they're lenient until it's gone just a little bit too far. And that's when we start to see that customers lose patience. They'll say, I'm okay. I know that this is not an essential good, and I'm willing to be patient, but this is too much. You said you were going to deliver it. You've backed out. You've canceled my delivery. You've said it's delivered and it's not. So there's that lack of patience when it's just pushed the limit on what customers are and are not okay with. And right now we're really seeing that there's, there are certain products that they want, and they want them now. They want their essential household goods. They understand that there are limitations, but they want them. And that want is not going to go away. So when you're talking about the new normal, it really is all about getting those products that they are used to having. And it's not necessarily the sanitizing products. I mean, and this is just what I'm seeing in the data. So other people feel free to jump in, but they want those sanitizing goods. They want toilet paper. It's been a joke that they're out of stock for a while. People are making comedic responses to that out of stock in the industry, but they want it to go back to normal. They want their goods, they want their products, and there's patience, but like I said, that patience stops at a certain point when their household is truly out of stock and they have no goods to use.
Thank you. I agree with you, Jenna. So anybody wishes to add what Jenna just said? Regan?
I'll jump in, and I want to add to the comment of consumers aren't willing to sacrifice. And I think that was captured so well and articulates what we're hearing online. And essentially, consumers are not willing to adopt to a new normal. And I say a new normal of being dissatisfied by delayed deliveries, a pickup window missed, shipments that are damaged, inaccurate in-stocks reported, inaccurate delivery estimated windows, having product out of stock. They're just not okay adopting this as a new normal anymore. And as Jen had mentioned, I think we see some initial patience, and that patience has gone away. And I think what's really fascinating that we see in the data, so we can theme out emotional trends. So we saw at the onset of COVID that there was an enormous spike in fear, as you would expect. But interestingly, fear came down dramatically and then was replaced by frustration and then moved to disappointment. So we can see a flow of this trend of emotion. And like we said, the disappointment is really about not accepting these new normals. And if I think about what we're seeing on what's best in class and what is determining a winner, we're seeing some of that come in as retailers who are making it easy to shop, as in easy to find products, easy to get in and out. Getting in and out, it seems to be a very important thing for a consumer. They want to avoid exposure and avoid congregation, less time waiting. And so the retailers that are making it generally easy through the layout of their store, ease of finding product, a seamless digital app or retailer online experience into the store, and especially when there's allocators and it's fed through the site to the store. These are all instances that consumers are expressing a lot of pleasure with and satisfiers.
Excellent. Thank you. Anupam, any thoughts?
Well, I think the team has expressed, what we are seeing in the data very well. I would just like to maybe build on some of this in terms of if you are a brand or a retailer and you're trying to have a presence online direct with the consumer, you have to now raise the bar a little bit, talking about the frustrations and the frictions that consumers are experiencing. And so that goes all the way into not just the availability of the product, but the integration of your entire supply chain to whatever your website is, your mobile app, or whatever the customers are trying to engage with you from an online perspective. And like it or not, folks like Amazon have set a very high bar in terms of the experience that people are expecting across the board. And if you're not in those in the same region in terms of how quickly can I find my product online, are you accurate, like Reagan mentioned, in terms of is it in stock or not, can you estimate the delivery properly, etc. If I want to pick up, what's the nearest store that I can go and pick it up at, etc. Those things have become just second nature to us, and especially those people that have been shopping like that. And now that the trend is becoming more mainstream, the new people are also expecting that kind of behavior. And I think that's a wake-up call, in my opinion, to some of the retailers to step up the game and build products and apps and integrate their supply chains because of what Reagan and Jen are seeing in the data. The move towards organic or towards sustainability or towards more things, people are taking more time and they're more conscious about what they're purchasing, I should say, it's a backing up a little bit. And that might result in trends like, I want to buy more local.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you. Anything else to add to Jenna's and Anupam's point, Reagan?
Yeah, it's such a fascinating question. That's a great question to ask. And this is now Reagan talking, not the data talking. So keeping that in mind, my take is that this new environment is a test and it's going to define the winners and the losers. And I say that because I believe as shoppers, we all have habits and we continue in our routines without thinking about them much. This new environment has forced everyone to think about their habits and reevaluate how they shop. We all are now required to have such presence of mind, which takes a lot of energy when we shop. We're thinking about our physical space, how close we are to people, where we shop, how we shop, are we doing it online or brick and mortar? So we're reevaluating these habits. And so now that consumers are reevaluating these, they're going to be testing retailers. Are you meeting my needs? I'm changing now. Who am I looking for? And so establishing habits in this environment, winning being the first winner, the first one to meet these consumers' needs, to be best in class at the basics, is going to set them apart and establish new habits. And I think if retailers are too late, they're going to miss out. So I think this is an environment of a test. That's kind of how I like to think about it.
Comes one last point I want to ask you, and then we can wrap up this call. Is, we talk about our ability to use AI for, gathering information, gathering data, and extracting information and insights from it. Why do you think this methodology, what's the uniqueness about this methodology, in your own words, that you feel would not necessarily show up in other methodologies, given our current, I would say, atmosphere or current situation? So you want to go first? Go.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm pretty passionate about this. And as you guys know, my passion came when I first met you and the 113 team. And I was connected with you largely because I was fascinated by what you do and how you drive insights from this technology. So with my over a decade of experience in CPG, I had access to a lot of data. And I saw primarily two groupings of data, with quantitative, largely syndicated based data, and qualitative, largely focus group based data. And we can get a lot of fabulous insights out of syndicated, but you don't know the why. And the qualitative data helped us get to the why, but often in a smaller group of folks and self-reported and with among other folks. So you have biases weighing into their what they're saying. And so the idea of having unfiltered, I love how Jenna says, unpacked conversations online, and having that in such large volumes is exciting, not just to get that data, but then to have the ability to trend it, to create themes around it, and then to just like roll up your sleeves and find out those nuggets that's why I'm personally passionate about this data source and excited about the insights that are getting generated.
Great.
Well, I thank you, Regan, for those kind words. And we see this all the time. I think things that stand out to me is the data not only provides you insights like that, but it creates a holistic view of the consumer. And I think that's very important. It gives almost, we've all done, profiles, etc. And that's good. But when you actually see and hear the words that consumers are using and expressing themselves, that narrative, that story is so powerful. It just connects all the other insights, all the data that a brand is seeing or a retailer is seeing.
I have to add a new bomb. I love that. And
Well said.
I'm starting to experience myself where you see that one post that really brings it home and captures so much in a small sentence. And one of the posts this morning was, "I love you, Costco. You're the only one I'd wear a face mask for." And it says so much, right?
It does. What a great point. What a great point. Well, that's it. Jenna, you wanted to add anything to Anupam's point? Or you?
I think everyone said pretty much what I would say at this point. I would just, I think, reiterate that the AI is so powerful in, in assigning different attributes and finding what's the key driver of certain motivations. And the human side of it is so powerful as well in extracting the why and really digging in and slicing and dicing the data and finding out how can we really understand what's driving behavior. So I think it's a really, and again, I'm passionate about it too, obviously, but 113 is so cool because we do combine the AI and the human side of things. And we're reading not just about one topic at a time, but 7 different categories all at once. So we're pulling insights from here, we're pulling insights from here, and we're able to then kind of understand everything at a macro level. We know that if organics really popular among a fitness crowd, well, we're also seeing that with moms on the go who want convenient protein. So it's just really neat to see these trends and be able to carry them from one client and one project to the next. And just grow as a company and know, and our offering grows every year. I see it growing. So that's my personal love for 113 and the software and the platform. Yeah, I think our research is so complementary to quantitative data. You can tell me that in store versus online is down 12% to last year. But then what, and we fill in those gaps. We say it's down because of that lack of safety and that discomfort with being in public and in congregated areas. So yes, a number is so meaningful, and that's important because you need it to drive business decisions, but you also need to know the human side of things. You need to know the factors that are playing into that number, what's really driving behavior. And I think that one of the other things about our technology, but also, like I mentioned before, the human side, is that we are able to really understand the nuances in language. And there's a lot of sarcastic conversation that AI will get sometimes, it's not always perfect, but we are able to detect kind of what's true and what's jokes, what is a joke and what's not really real behavior, kind of on upon what you were mentioning about what they're saying versus what they're doing. That's where we're able to really dissect and build these themes that Reagan had mentioned about parsing through the data and pulling out the individual behaviors based on nuances in language that indicate a scenario that might not have been captured through just AI. So that's where the natural language processing is very, very powerful.